Both the junior and the federal duck stamp programs will be discussed in today's presentation. Unfortunately, Jay Boswell is unable to attend. She recently moved to Orlando area to be closer to her family. During her many years on Sanibel, she was very active in the community and at St. Michael's, as well as teaching at Sanibel School. Jay introduced duck stamp drawing as a project at the school in early 1980. It was an extension of the adult stamp program introduced in 1930 by J. Ding Darling. In 1984, Jay's project became national as the Junior Federal Duck Stamp Program. She continued active involvement in the program, judging national finalists, and helping to maintain the project in Florida. Jay retired from teaching in 2004. Toni Westland has been with Ding Darling National Wildlife Refuge for 20 plus years as an environmental education specialist and supervisory refuge manager. Last month, you heard Toni speak about the local urban education programs sponsored by Ding Darling Wildlife Society. Today, she will speak on how both the junior and federal duck stamp program have made substantial impact on conservation education with her personal and our refuge active involvement. Originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Toni graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point in 1998 with a Bachelor of Science in Natural Resource Management, a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Education and Interpretation, and a minor in Environmental Communication. In her spare time, Toni enjoys traveling and enjoying the outdoors with her two daughters, Sophia 17 and Adriana 16, and with her friend Kevin. Let's welcome Toni.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for welcoming me back. I'm gonna stand here so I'm not running around. Sue's trying to follow me. Okay. No, thanks for having me come back. I feel like it's family now. When you've come a few times, it's family. And Ethan, wow, Ethan, you're so good. Here's Jay and I got to see her just a few weeks ago. Jay's doing well, she sends her love. We took a selfie, because what do? You take selfies. No matter what your age is, you take selfies, right? We discussed that we were gonna be here. She's here in spirit, I'm here to send everyone love. But yeah, Jay created this the 89-90 school year, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, like the government does, we took the contest from her with her permission, and now it is successful in all 50 states. And one of the highlights of my career, I got to take it down to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And we got to start the contest down there. And so students participate down there drawing a duck stamp. But just like Jay said, it's because of Jay Norwood Ding Darling drawing a duck stamp. Jay would bring all the kids over. And if she was here, she's got this great poem about all the animals that fly and they slither and they roam and they crawl. And she would talk to the kids, and she started with the 3rd grade class, and every year the kids would ask her, are we gonna draw the duck stamp? And she would bring them over to Ding Darling, and then it went to the 4th grade and the 5th grade, and then it was every other grade, and it just became a huge successful program, all because of Ding Darling, and modeling it after that program. Everybody can draw. We just forget about that, art is nature is art, and we often forget, you can grab a pencil or a pen or a crayon, and we stop doing that about 5th grade. I don't know, everybody starts to think, I don't feel comfortable doing this anymore. Maybe at some point someone laughs at a drawing that you did, and I think you start to think, I'm not an artist, I can't do this. I challenge everybody, and I will today, hint, 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 get ready, that we should be picking up a pen or a pencil or a colored pencil and try to be creative, because we all are creative. And so Ding Darling did that in his lifetime every day, but we should all try to bring that creative side. And Jay still does that. This is in her studio at her house, and she is doing that up in Orlando. So if you want to put that forward. We judged the Junior Duck Stamp here at Ding Darling. So this year, 1,400 entries from across the state comes to Ding Darling. I've been the coordinator for 16 years. Sadly, it will be my last. I am retiring. It's hard to say. I think I'm gonna cry. Woo! See, I should have said that. I am retiring May 31st, and wow, see, don't say that. But 5 judges from around the area come in, and it depends on who I can wrangle into doing it, but artists, biologists come in because we want to capture the most accurate, because the best of show is sent to Washington, and we sent it up there. Florida has never won. So the contest started here, and I used to say it, and I said it again this year, I'm not retiring until Florida wins. Well, guess what? I'm retiring. So, I don't know. Maybe Florida will win. But we did pick our best of show. Let's show it off. Ethan and I are going to be Vanna White. Ooh. This is just a color copy. The best of show is actually up in Washington, and on Earth Day, she's a 16-year-old from Palm City, and she is going to go up against every state and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And when I tell you this acrylic is amazing, a pair of wood ducks, I hope. But the judges are the ones that had the hard job of picking the best out of all the 1,400 that are representing Florida. And you got to think about it. We even give them these lenses that are called refracting lenses that bring it down to the size of a stamp. So not, anything that makes it bigger, but actually refracts it, brings it down to the stamp. But they look for accuracy, even down to the detail of each feather, because that's what Fish and Wildlife Service, we're a bunch of biologists, right? And so they bring it down to the stamp size, looking at the background, making sure everything is accurate, and what will it look like as a stamp. And it's made into a $5 stamp.
Do you want the video?
Let's show that. It's kind of fun. Thank you. This is why you bring young people and know technology.
Welcome, students, teachers, parents, friends. You are watching this because you are going to be competing in the Junior Duck Stamp. We are here, sunny Sanibel Island, Florida, the home of the Federal Duck Stamp. And today we're going to teach you.
Quick 5-minute video that we send around the state. Highlights a little bit about the visitor center, about Sanibel Island.
About how it all got started and what you're going to be doing. Welcome, students, teachers, parents, friends. You are watching this because you are going to be competing in the Junior Duck Stamp. We are here, sunny Sanibel Island, Florida, the home of the Federal Duck Stamp. And today we're going to teach you about how it all got started and what you're going to be doing. So, how did this whole thing get started? J. Norwood Ding Darling. This guy right here. He was an editorial cartoonist from the Des Moines Register. He spent his career educating the public about politics and conservation through his cartoons. He lived at a time where there was no TV. People got their information from the newspapers. Besides drawing cartoons, Ding Darling took action. He was a sportsman, and he drew and created the first federal duck stamp. So what is a duck stamp? First and foremost, duck stamps are pieces of art, but they help conservation. 98 cents on every dollar with the purchase of a duck stamp goes back to buying land. What a great thing he created. Over $1 billion have gone to purchasing 6 million acres across the National Wildlife Refuge system. And even today, when you buy a duck stamp, it gets you in for free entrance to a National Wildlife Refuge, but even better, we're still buying land. And from the federal duck stamp, the junior duck stamp was born. Started right here in the 1980s, now it's across the country. All U.S. states and territories compete. Kindergarten through seniors compete in this contest. Not only can you win with your beautiful artwork, you can also win with a conservation message. 1 or 2 lines about what you've learned about the importance of wetlands and our amazing wildlife.
And here to help us draw a duck is our 2022 through 23 artist in residence, Jackie Roche.
So as a special treat, we have our special guest, my artist assistant, Puddles, the blue goose, is going to show you how easy it is to actually draw a duck. Hi, Puddles.
For your piece, make sure that you use a 9-inch by 12-inch piece of paper and a horizontal layout. And please remember, no borders or matting. If you happen to use chalk or pastels though, you can use a piece of paper as a cover just to help in the shipping, but don't attach anything.
So the first thing we're going to do, Puddles, is we're going to start with our basic shapes. We're looking for things like an oval for his head. And notice that I'm drawing very lightly. This is called sketching.
Everyone pay
You don't want to draw
attention.
dark
You're
yet
gonna be
because you
doing
haven't
this.
decided if it's the best drawing you've done. Now we're going to add some more shapes like a triangle for his beak. I see an eye, so that's kind of like a circle. And there's another circle inside there. His neck is kind of like a square, right? Good job, Puddles. Now we're going to look at his body. He's got a big body. Can you make an oval, Puddle? Good. Now his wing can be a little tricky because his wing is 2 shapes. Rectangle, then a little bit of a triangle. It's pretty good to get started.
Is this a wetland? Is this a wetland? What about this? Wetlands are crucial. They recharge groundwater, remove pollutants, and they provide critical habitat for many species, lots of which are endangered. This even includes millions of migratory birds and waterfowl.
Perfect. Oh, it's great, Puddles. So here comes the fun part. Now we're going to start paying attention and we're looking again at details. What makes this duck different from other ducks? I'm looking to see what shape is his eye. Is it more of a circle? Does he have another color around it? Does he have anything interesting going on as his head? Maybe like some back feathers? I see something coming down there on the back.
Remember to pay really close attention to the field marks of your waterfowl. We have a lot of great resources. You could use wooden sculptures, you could use taxidermy mounts, we have field guides, or the internet's a really great resource too. A couple topography words to keep in mind for your waterfowl is the words like crown, nape, breast, vent, wings, just anything that makes your waterfowl unique.
So now's where you want to pay really close attention to his details. What are his markings? How does he stand out when he's out in the wild? So we're going to make a nice organic shape. To make that wing look more like a wing, add some tail feathers. He's got 1, 2 that I can see from here, and a nice long one for his tail. Looks good, Puddles. Have you done this before? So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to darken him up a little bit. Remember before I was sketching, now he's looking better. And then the best part, we get to add some color. Is he a blue duck? Is he green? And that's the fun part. So we're going to take our colors, and I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to do some blue around him to make it look like the water's there. I see that he's got a beautiful red beak, and I'm doing that lightly too, because I can always get darker, right? I can always change the colors later. He's got a red eye. He looks like a brown duck, right? But that's not just brown. He's got some green on his head. He's got a little bit of green on his beak. I need some brown, which I don't have.
Hey, I heard you need some brown.
Thanks, Ranger Katie.
You're welcome.
Here we go, Puddles.
She makes it look so easy, doesn't she? I know there's some artists in this room. I know Greg is actually really good. We are going to have some fun with this, people. Raise your hand if you think you can do some of that. No one? Greg is kind of raising his hand. Listen, he's kind of like this. We can do super little quick sketches. We are going to have some fun with this, but I'm going to go on a little bit about the contest some more before we get into that. Here's just some past winners, which I wanted to show off, some from 2014 from Golden Gate High School. So this contest, I'll just keep keep going. You can keep advancing. This is kind of fun. I don't know what's going to happen. Here's Ding Darling drawing in his first duck stamp. So back in 1934, he started the contest. It was $1. Does anybody know how much a duck stamp is today?
$5.
25. Yes. So it went up in many increments along the way. It's $25. But as the video said, 98 cents on the dollar goes back to buying land. What a great program. The government cannot take this money and put it into roads or schools or war or where else they want to put it. We can only put it into buying land. And this program was started by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It was actually the U.S. Biological Survey, which was the predecessor, which is Ding Darling was in Washington for 18 months to start this program, and then he got out. He was smart. He was like, I'm only doing this for so long. He went into Washington, he got the law passed, he started the duck stamp program, that law, and he was out. But what a strong program. He was a hunter. We were talking about hunters and buying duck stamps. We'd like to, Ethan, would you like to be Vanna? He's really good at this. We're showing these off. Mr. Tom brought these in. This is great. We have a full collection at the visitor center of all of the duck stamps. But if you have family that has had a tradition of hunting in your family, it is a huge tradition, especially up north, but people duck hunt all over the country. This is a great way that families have had tradition and have given back to conservation. Duck hunters have purchased land that you're standing on over at Ding Darling because 98 cents on the dollar, the purchase of a duck stamp, and hunters have to buy them in order to hunt duck, geese, or swans in North America. And then people buy them to collect them. People buy them for conservation. And then, like it said in the video, if you buy one, you can get into national wildlife refuges for free. So from the federal duck stamp came the junior duck stamp with Jay Boswell. So we have our own wonderful celebrity with that. Look at these. You can't even tell the difference between the federal and the junior. I mean, these children are so talented, and these were just some that we, grabbed out of the blue, but you can see. In that case, it was $15 at that time, and the junior is $5, but wow, they're amazing stamps. These are not postage stamps. These are what we call Cinderella stamps. They're a little bit bigger, you can see, but they're amazing, beautiful pieces of art. We all know what conservation is, and that's where the money goes. It really, truly goes to buying land and conservation. Ethan? And we all know we're a family of conservation on these islands, what we can all do. Why did it all start with Ding Darling? He was a hunter. He was seeing things like this happen. People were taking these birds, and in his case, he was eating them and using them growing up in the north. But they were being taken and not utilized properly. Things like that. Oh, it's okay. No. Things like this. You want to keep clicking? We're coming to a point where people were wearing dead birds on their head, right? We've got some, if you want to go back, sorry. I brought some plumes. Here's some egret plumes. So it got to the point where birds were taken for their feathers. Feathers were worth more than gold. These were things that were happening at the time where Ding Darling and early conservationists were seeing happen and needed to have change. So laws were being passed. And luckily, ladies' haircuts were coming in, the bob. And people stopped wearing hats like that. Haircuts, and now we pay a lot of money for haircuts, don't we? I gotta get mine done. And so we don't have to collect, and it saved lots of birds. And so, but those are some pretty hats. We don't have to do that anymore. So, why are we saving wetlands and waterfowl? Look at all these. Refuges are placed on these flyways for a reason. If you look at our map of the refuge system, the 98 cents on every dollar, we are still buying land, just like we talked about. And we are strategically putting these refuges on these flyways, just as we use highways. place to travel when we go back up north to go do our maple syruping and such. Birds use flyways as we use highways. And we put these national wildlife refuges so these birds can migrate. And if you look at that map, you can distinctly see 4 major flyways. And so that's why they're there. We purposely give them these much needed stopovers. Ding Darling is a much needed stopover before they head down to the islands also for a lot of these birds. So it's really important that these duck stamps are continued to be sold, if it's for hunters, but even for people to collect them, and even just to buy them so that we can continue to buy land. As for the contest, it's kindergarten through seniors. Yeah.
It looks like you have horizontal pathways for the birds flying. Do they ever go across the country?
For the most part, when they're migrating, it's this vertical pathway, this vertical.
That they just have in their head that this is 95 and I'm going to go.
Yes. They know where to go and when to go, like those giant white pelicans that just left our area. We all watched them leave. They're coming down in October. They just left in April and they're heading north because they know it's time to go nest. And they're heading back to Wisconsin, Minnesota, Canada.
But the birds from Maine don't go to Mexico. They go down to...
For the most part, they're coming down and using that eastern flyway to go down. Yeah, for the most part.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So as for the contest itself, how are we doing? It's okay. Don't worry. Kindergarten through 12th grade. So we have different curriculum for each grade, but this is for every grade can do the junior duck stamp. You can click through all of these. They select a waterfowl, they research their topic. Again, it's ducks, geese, or swans. They have to be native. There's over 35 different species. We want kids to have all sorts of different ducks, geese, or swans. They can't do a spoonbill or, a great blue heron or anything like that. It's got to be a duck, goose, or swan. We're teaching them about wetlands and why they're important, about the flyways. There's science behind it. There's curriculum with it. We want teachers to see that there's a reason to talk about science and art together. We're talking about different species. They're learning about field marks. But there's lots to choose from. Maybe they just want to do black and whites. Really important that they're picking native, so they're not doing mute swans, but they're learning that there's native swans like trumpeters and tundra swans, but there's a long list. They're learning parts of the birds, parts of the wings, field marks, and then they start creating their masterpiece. We loan out ducks to local teachers. They gotta give them back. They learn about plagiarism and they can't copy things. Just like there's plagiarism in the written word, there's plagiarism in art also. You can't just copy people's art. So there's lots to learn about with art also. And then as mentioned in there too, it's not just about art. They can also win by a conservation message and what they've learned. So there's always silly messages. Open your wallet, yeah. And there's 100 winners. So there's not just one. There's one best of show that goes to Washington, but there's 100 winners. They're on the wall at Ding Darling. The visitor center's closed right now. We're getting AC finally after 3 years. But on the back wall, you'll see 100 winners of ducks, and they're there all year round, so they can come and see their ducks, which is fun. There they are. And we have an award ceremony under a normal year without AC contracts. We send them gifts. We're hard at work sending them gifts right now. But now is the time where you all can become artists. Oh yes, don't look at me like you're not going to become artists right now, everybody. We are going to have fun and do Duck Art 101. Look at, someone's excited. She's moving her plate aside. I love this. So we'll leave it at this one. This is, you saw Jackie, and granted, she is an amazing Miami artist. We are all artists on different levels. You are going to have a duck in front of you. So you're actually going to look at a duck. You're going to have a specimen in front of you. We have enough ducks for each table. Yes. So you're going to have a specimen in front of you. And remember what Jackie said. You're going to think of your duck by shapes. Whenever you want to start drawing something, the easiest thing to do is to look at the duck. I'm going to grab one. Let me just grab one so we can talk about it. Here is a Florida model duck. I'm going to bring it over to the... Here's a Florida model duck. Whoever gets this one. Now, this is a Florida model duck. Beautiful Florida model duck. And whenever you start looking at the species or anything you want to draw, it's a lot easier if you start thinking of it as shapes. Thinking of the head as a round head, right? Circle. Looking at the bill, she even started to think of it as a triangle. It's not a perfect triangle, but you can think of it as that. Start as a triangle to a point. So later you can shape it up a little bit. But its body could be long like an oval. You know, start breaking it down into shapes. It's the easiest way. Because if you look at this duck and think, I gotta draw that, it's a little intimidating, right? Think of it as shapes. Everyone's still looking at me like you're nuts. From there, that long-tailed duck is very long-tailed, isn't it? Yes. It's beautiful. Yes, Ethan did clean them up and dust them off for you all. So we're going to give you paper, some colored pencils. You can quickly sketch it out. You can sketch it quickly, then you can shape it up. I'm going to, if you look up here, see, drawing basic shapes. If everybody looks up here, the easiest thing to do is to start with shapes. And we can go back through this a few times. And then they talk about shaping it up. So, you know, they're not truly shapes. You know, so you shape it up by adding a little bit more contour to it. Adding some detailed lines in the background. And then adding basic color. Seems easy, right? Right. Yeah. We'll start with drawing basic shapes. Everyone's like, really? Yes.
Toni, what's the most common medium that you
The contest?
for the contest?
When we have, I mean, the group 1 is kindergarten through 3rd grade. We're gonna get crayons,
Okay.
right? Colored pencils, very common. When we get up to the seniors, you know, the 10th through seniors, where you can get acrylics, you know, special art classes, we can get pastels, crayons, you know, then they're messy, you know what I mean? But yeah, when we get into the really good ones, we're getting like acrylic paintings on canvas, you know, where you're getting really detailed fine lines. We have colored pencils for everybody, so we're gonna go around. You can just, what are you thinking, Greg? Greg already has, he's got his already. Yeah, Greg, we're expecting a lot. Here's.
Make us proud, Greg.
Oh, the pressure's on with Greg. Greg, I did not mean to do this to you. Now the pressure's on. No. Ooh, we've got another artist over here. Anyway, we just want this to be fun. Ethan, if you just want to quickly, I'll help you pass out some colors. I guess we might not even need this one. I'm going to put it over here.